Most people believe that money is earned by sweat, struggle, and endless labor. But I tell you, lack is not conquered by toil. It is conquered by the tongue. Wealth does not come because you chase it. Wealth comes because you call it. For life and death are in the power of the tongue. A Proverbs 18:2-1. And the one who learns to speak life into their finances shall never dwell in the house of poverty again. Most people believe that money is a reward for toil, that abundance is the result of endless struggle, and that prosperity is granted only to those who strain every nerve in pursuit of it. Yet I tell you, this is the great deception that has chained generations to the grindstone of lack. Wealth is not earned in the way the world imagines. It is spoken into being. All true increase begins in the invisible realm, and the key to unlocking it is not in your hands but on your lips. For the tongue is the instrument of creation, the pen that writes the script of your destiny. You do not work for abundance. You summon it, you command it, you decree it. And when you learn this holy art of speech, the labor of your hands will be crowned with a fruitfulness that no human effort alone could produce. Scripture declares in Job 22:20-28, "Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee." This is not a poetic figure, but a spiritual law as certain as gravity. When you decree, the words leave your mouth clothed in authority, traveling into the unseen to set in motion the forces of supply. Your words are not idle breath, they are divine legislation, written into the records of the universe and carried out by the hosts of heaven. Understand this before any form appears in your life, whether money, opportunity, or favor. It exists first as a vibration. Thoughts give rise to words, words give rise to form. When God said, "Let there be light," there was no sun, no moon, no stars, only the vibration of His word moving across the void. And light, obedient to the sound of His command, appeared. So it is with you. You are made in the image of God, and your speech carries the same pattern of creation. The unseen precedes the seen. The spoken word builds the structure before your eyes ever behold it. If your life has been shaped by lack, it is because your speech has been shaped by lack. Complaints, confessions of shortage, words of doubt. These are seeds, and they bear their fruit as surely as the seeds of faith. To change the harvest, you must change the seed. And the seed is always the word. I knew a man once who was drowning in debt, worn down from laboring night and day to no avail. Every time he opened his mouth, he confessed his situation. "I can't make ends meet. I'm just barely getting by. I never have enough." I told him plainly, "You are planting weeds and wondering why there is no wheat. Stop rehearsing lack and start rehearsing abundance." I gave him a declaration to speak each morning. God is my instant and infinite supply. Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. At first he felt foolish. The evidence of his life contradicted the words on his lips. But I told him, "You are not speaking what you see. You are speaking what you wish to see, for the word precedes the manifestation." He persisted, and on the 21st day, a business opportunity arose from an unexpected contact, one that cleared his debts and opened the door to financial stability. His work had not changed. His speech had. This is the law you will always attract into your life, what you continually declare with conviction. Not the fleeting wish, not the half-hearted hope, but the decree spoken as though it were already true. This is why the Master said, "When ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." You speak from the end, not from the middle. You affirm the harvest while the seed is still in the ground. You do not wait for abundance to appear before calling yourself abundant. You call yourself abundant, and abundance appears. The world calls this foolishness, the Spirit calls it faith. And faith, when spoken, becomes the architect of your reality. There is a frequency in your words, and that frequency calls its own into your life. Words of fear call lack. Words of confidence call increase. This is not superstition, it is divine mechanics. Just as a radio can only receive the station to which it is tuned, your life can only receive the reality to which your words are tuned. If your mouth is tuned to shortage, you will never pick up the signal of plenty. But when you align your speech with the truth of God's inexhaustible supply, you enter the broadcast of abundance, and blessings begin to arrive in ways you could never have arranged by human effort alone. You must understand that the material world is not the cause, but the result. The paycheck is not the source. It is merely one channel through which the source flows. And if one channel dries up, the source will open another, provided you do not dam the flow with words of despair. The river of supply is infinite, but your words can block or release it. To say, "I can't afford this," shuts the door. To say, "God is my supply, and I have all that I need," opens it wide. The choice is yours daily. Therefore, I charge you, guard your tongue, as you would guard your treasure, for it is your treasure. Speak only that which you desire to see multiplied. Let your mornings begin not with idle chatter or complaints, but with royal decrees spoken into the courts of heaven. Stand as one who knows their authority, for you are not a beggar knocking at a closed gate. You are a child of the King, and the treasury of heaven responds to your word. Each day, speak your supply into being. Each day, water the seeds of abundance with gratitude and faith. And do not waver when the fields look bare, for the harvest is certain to the one who does not uproot their seed with doubt. If you will but master this, your life will take on a strange and beautiful turn. You will see opportunities rise from places that once seemed barren. You will find favor in the eyes of those who once overlooked you, and you will discover, perhaps for the first time, that the struggle to survive was never necessary, for you were always meant to thrive. The law is sure, the word is power, and the promise is true. Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee. Begin today. Speak as one who knows the outcome. For the day you master your speech is the day you master your supply, and lack will be nothing more than a shadow you have outgrown. There is a law older than the hills, a law that governs both heaven and earth, yet the masses walk in ignorance of it. They imagine life as a gamble, a roll of dice in the hands of fate, and they call those who prosper lucky, while excusing their own lack as misfortune. But the wise know there is no such thing as luck, only law, and this law is written plainly in the word, "Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee." You are not a pawn on the chessboard of life, you are the one who moves the pieces. Your words are not whispers into the void. They are commands into a living system that responds without fail to the authority of faith-filled speech. What you decree in the unseen will surely be built in the seen, and nothing, no man, no economy, no circumstance, can stop it once the decree is made in faith. The moment you speak with conviction, you release a blueprint into the invisible. That blueprint begins to call forth the materials required: people, opportunities, ideas, just as a builder calls for lumber and stone. You may not see the foundation being laid, but in the realm beyond sight, it is as real as the breath in your lungs. This is why the scripture says, "By thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned." Every word is a seed, and every seed produces after its own kind. If you sow the language of fear, you will reap the harvest of fear. If you sow the language of lack, you will reap shortage in your affairs. But if you sow the language of abundance, heaven and earth unite to produce a bountiful harvest in your life. Consider the unseen mechanics of this law. The human voice is a transmitter, and your faith is the frequency. Every time you speak, you tune yourself to a certain broadcast. When you speak scarcity, you lock onto the frequency of loss, and loss finds you. When you speak abundance, you tune yourself to the frequency of increase, and increase seeks you out. The law is impartial. It delivers to you exactly what you have ordered with your words, whether you have ordered blessing or trouble. and so it is the height of spiritual wisdom to guard the lips as one would guard a fortune. I recall a young woman, burdened with unpaid bills and a low-paying job. She complained daily of her situation, saying, "I never have enough money. No matter what I do, I can't get ahead." I told her, "My dear, you have built a house of lack with your words, and now you live in it. If you wish to move into a house of plenty, you must build it the same way you built this one." Word by word, I gave her a simple declaration. I have more than enough money to meet every need, and my wealth increases daily. She was to speak it each morning without fail, not as a wish, but as a truth. At first, her mind protested, for the evidence around her contradicted the statement. But she spoke it anyway, and within weeks, her employer unexpectedly promoted her to a higher position with increased pay. Shortly after, a side opportunity opened, multiplying her income even further. She had not worked harder, she had simply tuned her frequency to abundance. And the law brought the matching experience into her world. This is why I tell you, do not speak according to what you see. Speak according to what you desire. The seen world is a shadow of the unseen, and shadows always follow the substance. Your words are the substance. To speak lack is to order more lack. To speak wealth is to order more wealth. And when you speak in alignment with the promises of God, you are not merely making noise. You are issuing divine orders into the courts of heaven. The angels are ministers of these decrees, and they go forth to execute them in perfect timing. Some will scoff at this teaching, saying, "Surely it cannot be that simple." But the simplicity of the law is its beauty. God has not made prosperity a puzzle to be solved only by the educated or the privileged. He has placed the creative power in every mouth, that all might have access to his supply. This is why even the unlearned can prosper when they master their speech, and the highly trained can fail when they fill their mouths with fear. Now, do not misunderstand me. The decree is not a charm to be spoken without faith, nor a mere mantra to soothe the mind. It must be spoken from the place of authority that knows the law cannot be broken. You speak it as truth, and you refuse to unsay it with words of doubt. This is where many fail. They plant the seed of abundance in the morning, and dig it up with worry by nightfall. The farmer does not uproot his seed to see if it is growing. He trusts the process. So must you trust that your decrees are working in the unseen, even when nothing yet appears in the visible. I have found that the most powerful results come when a person makes their decree the first sound of the morning. Before the mind is cluttered with the noise of the world, before fear has a chance to speak, the voice of faith must go forth. The first words of your day set the tone for all that follows, for they send the day marching in the direction of your decree. This is why I tell my students before you rise from bed, say, "God is my instant and infinite supply. All my needs are met before I even speak them. Large sums of money come to me quickly and easily under grace in perfect ways." Say it slowly, say it deliberately, and say it with the knowing that these words are not an empty wish. They are law in motion. And so I leave you with this truth. You are never a victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of them. The law of decree is working for you now, whether you are conscious of it or not. Every word you have spoken has built the house you now inhabit. If you wish for a finer dwelling, speak it into being. If you desire greater provision, call it by name and command it to appear. The universe is not deaf to your voice, and God's supply is not limited by the size of your request. Speak as one who knows their inheritance, and lack will depart from you as darkness departs from light. The day you take your words seriously is the day you will see your world transformed. For the law is sure. Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee. Everything you will ever touch in this life begins first in the invisible. The visible is the child, the invisible is the mother. Yet men and women toil endlessly over the child, trying to rearrange the effects while neglecting the cause. They polish the fruit but ignore the root. The root of all experience is unseen: thought, word, vibration, and until you master these, you are a servant to circumstance rather than a master of it. God has ordained that the invisible governs the visible, that the spirit precedes the flesh, that the word precedes the form. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word was made flesh. This is not merely a statement about the Christ. It is a statement about the pattern of creation itself. All things begin as a word. The car you drive, the house you live in, the clothes on your back, they were first a thought, then a word, then a plan, then a form. To work only in the material is to work at the slowest level of creation. To work in the invisible is to operate at the speed of spirit. Your words are spiritual architecture. Each one is a beam or a brick in the unseen structure of your future. When you say, "I can't afford it," you remove the beam that would have held the blessing. When you say, "I live in divine abundance," you set a foundation that no economic wind can shake. What is built in the invisible is impervious to the conditions of the visible. The man who has built his prosperity in the spirit will not fear when the stock market trembles, for his wealth is not held in earthly vaults, but in the treasury of heaven, and heaven is never bankrupt. Consider the seed. Within its small, hard shell is the pattern of the tree, every branch, every leaf, every fruit already coded in its design. You cannot see the tree, but it is there in potential, waiting for the right conditions to appear. So it is with your spoken word. Each declaration you make contains the pattern of its fulfillment. "I am wealthy" carries within it the circumstances, connections, and opportunities that will express as wealth. "I am always provided for" carries within it the divine ideas and the invisible channels that will open at the appointed time. If you plant the seed daily, the harvest is inevitable. It matters not if the field looks barren today, for the life of the seed is working in the unseen. I knew a man who wanted to start his own business, but was paralyzed by fear. The numbers didn't add up, the risk seemed too great. Yet his heart burned with the vision. I told him, "The provision for your vision is already in the invisible. Speak it into the visible." I gave him a declaration. "Divine ideas are making me rich. God's supply is flowing to me now." He spoke it daily, and as he spoke, his fear began to dissolve. Within a month, he met an investor who not only funded his venture, but also brought connections that propelled it into rapid success. He had been waiting for the money to appear before speaking, but the truth is this: the money was waiting for him to speak before appearing. Many live as if the physical world is the master and they are its servant. They see lack in their bank account and bow to it as if it were an unchangeable God. But the account is only a shadow. It has no power except the power you grant it by your agreement. The moment you withdraw your agreement with lack and align your speech with abundance, the shadow must change. You do not fight the shadow, you change the light that casts it. Your words are that light. You must also understand that the invisible responds not to idle repetition, but to conviction. If you mutter affirmations without faith, you are like a farmer throwing seed onto dry rock. It is the moisture of belief that germinates the seed. You speak as one who knows, not as one who hopes. Hope waits, faith creates. When you declare, "Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways," you are not begging heaven to act. You are enforcing a spiritual law that has been in place since the foundation of the world. There is a reason Scripture tells us to call those things which be not as though they were. The world tells you to describe what is. The Spirit tells you to declare what shall be. The world says, "Be realistic." The Spirit says, "Be prophetic." If you only speak what you see, you will only have more of what you already have. If you speak what you desire, you set in motion the forces that will bring it into being. Let your morning be the workshop of the unseen. Before you read the headlines, before you answer the phone, step into the silence and speak your design. Say, I walk in divine abundance. My storehouses are full. I am a magnet for money, health, and favor. God's wealth flows to me freely and endlessly. See it as you speak it. Feel it as if it were already so. In the invisible, it is already finished, and your faith is the bridge that carries it into the visible. Do not be swayed by delay, for delay is not denial. The farmer does not dig up the seed to check if it is growing. He trusts the process. So must you. Each day that you hold to your decree, the roots of your desire grow deeper in the unseen until they break through into form. The day will come when what you have spoken will stand before you in flesh and bone, in paper and coin, in the tangible abundance of answered decree, and you will know that it did not come by chance or by toil alone. It came by the law that the Word became flesh. So I say to you now, live in the invisible before you see the visible. Walk as if your supply is already in your hand. Speak as if the gates of abundance are already open, for in truth they are. You have the key, and the key is your word. Use it daily, use it boldly. Use it with unwavering faith, and the treasury of heaven will open at your command. For the unseen is the womb of the seen, and the one who masters the invisible will never be mastered by the visible again. The world will tell you that to have more, you must do more. It will preach the gospel of exhaustion, work longer hours, take on more burdens, and sacrifice your peace for a larger paycheck. But this is not the gospel of the kingdom. The kingdom does not operate by strain, it operates by speech. It is the Spirit that quickeneth. The flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit, and they are life. Fleshly toil without spiritual decree is like rowing a boat with no oars in the water. You are busy, but you are not advancing. Yet one decree spoken in faith can open a door that 10 years of labor could not budge. The law is simple. What you speak with conviction becomes the command to which heaven and earth must respond. You are not climbing the mountain by human effort. You are commanding the mountain to move. I once knew a man who believed in this world's way of wealth. Endless hustle, constant pushing, never resting. He was always busy, but never prosperous. His business drained him, his health began to fail, and still, he saw no increase. When he came to me, I told him, "You have been laboring in the field without first planting the seed. Speak the harvest before you swing the sickle." I taught him to begin each morning with this decree. God's wealth is circulating in my life. There is a constant flow of money to me, and it comes from expected and unexpected sources. He looked at me with doubt, for his debts were many. But he obeyed. Within 3 months, his company landed a major contract he had not pursued, one that more than doubled his annual income. He had moved from grinding to commanding, and the law rewarded him. The truth is, the one who knows how to speak in alignment with divine law can accomplish in moments what others labor for years to achieve. The unseen does not respond to the sweat on your brow, it responds to the authority in your voice. Work has its place, yes, but when it is aligned with your spoken decree, it becomes multiplied and fruitful. Without the decree, work is merely survival. With the decree, work becomes an expression of abundance already secured in the Spirit. The reason this is difficult for many to accept is that they have been trained to trust the seen over the unseen. They believe only in what their eyes can behold and their hands can grasp. But the seen world is a finished picture. It is the past made visible. If you want a different picture, you must paint it in the unseen first. Your words are the brush, your faith is the color, and your persistence is the frame that holds it steady until it appears. To keep speaking lack is to repaint the same old picture of poverty. To speak abundance daily is to create a masterpiece the world has not yet seen but soon will. Do not think this law is mere poetry, it is divine mechanics. Just as electricity flows when the circuit is complete, so supply flows when your speech is aligned with faith. The moment you decree wealth, you close the circuit between heaven's supply and your earthly life. Interrupt that decree with words of doubt, and you break the circuit. Some wonder why their prosperity is inconsistent. It is because they are double-minded, speaking abundance in the morning and shortage by evening. A double-minded decree is like planting a seed and uprooting it daily. The soil of spirit cannot yield under such conditions. I recall a widow who had little more than faith to her name. Her pension barely covered her living expenses, and she feared she might lose her small home. She came to me with trembling lips, asking what she could do. I told her to stop declaring her lack to neighbors and family, and to begin declaring her supply before the Lord. I gave her this: I have a rich and loving Father. He meets my every need abundantly. My home is secure. My life is overflowing with provision. She spoke it morning and night, refusing to discuss her situation as though it were hopeless. Within weeks, she received an inheritance from a distant relative she had never met, enough to secure her home and provide her with comfort for the rest of her years. The world would call it coincidence. I call it obedience to divine law. The law does not fail. It is not dependent on the economy, the stock market, or the generosity of man. It is dependent only on the steadfastness of your decree. Every time you speak your truth in faith, the unseen moves to shape the seen. This is why I tell you, speak wealth, until the very atmosphere around you hums with it. Let every word that leaves your lips carry the vibration of abundance, so that even in silence, your life radiates the decree you have spoken. And here is the mystery: the more you speak from abundance, the less you feel the fear of lack, and the less you fear lack, the less it appears in your life. Fear and faith cannot live in the same house. One must serve notice to the other. Each morning that you choose to declare your provision, you evict fear from your dwelling. Each evening that you give thanks for abundance already on the way, you seal the door against want. Now hear this clearly. This is not about pretending, nor is it about lying to yourself. This is about speaking the higher truth until it overrules the lower fact. The fact may be that your bank account is low. The truth is that you have access to the infinite supply of God. Facts change, truth is eternal. Your decree does not deny the fact, it simply refuses to make the fact the final word. So I charge you this day, stop rehearsing the story of struggle and start declaring the song of abundance. Let your mornings resound with, large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. Let your afternoons hum with, God's wealth is circulating in my life. Let your nights close with, all my needs are met before I speak them. And do not tire of this rhythm, for it is the drumbeat to which prosperity marches toward you. If you will hold this line, unwavering, you will find that what once seemed far off will begin to arrive at your very door. People will call you fortunate, but you will know the truth. You have simply learned to work the law. For the decree is the master key, and when you use it, every locked gate of lack swings wide. The promise is sure, the law is fixed, and the time is now. Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee. There is a subtle but powerful truth that many fail to grasp. Nothing is truly withheld from you, except by your own belief that it is. The gates of abundance are never locked from God's side. They are bolted from within by fear, doubt, and unworthiness. You may plead with heaven for supply, yet if your heart secretly whispers, I am not worthy, your words are cancelled by your own vibration. The law is impartial. It delivers according to your inner decree, not your outer performance. This is why Jesus said, according to your faith, be it unto you. Faith is not a begging posture. It is a claiming posture. It does not say, please. It says, thank you. It does not approach God as a pauper at the gate, but as an heir entering the treasury of the Father. I once counseled a woman whose life seemed like a string of closed doors. Every opportunity slipped away at the last moment. Every business deal failed just before completion. She believed there was some curse upon her. I told her plainly, there is no curse, but the one you are speaking over yourself. You expect loss, so loss is faithful to you. You rehearse disappointment, so disappointment keeps its appointment with you. I taught her to change her decree entirely. Instead of saying, things always go wrong for me, she began to say, everything I desire comes to me in perfect time and perfect order. Doors fly open before me, and no man can shut them. It seemed unnatural to her at first, for her mind clung to the old pattern of loss. But she persisted, and within weeks, the same deal that had collapsed earlier was resurrected under better terms than before. She saw with her own eyes that the universe had not been against her, only her decree had been. We often imagine that God is slow in answering when in truth it is we who are slow in receiving. Receiving is not about taking with your hands. It is about opening your heart to the truth that you are already provided for. The moment you truly accept that your good is yours now, not in some distant future, you release the flow. But if you say, one day, I'll be blessed, you are pushing your blessing into a tomorrow that never arrives. The law works in the now. Your decree must be present tense. I have. I am. It is. Heaven does not deliver to the address of someday. The greatest thief of blessing is the spirit of complaint. Complaining is decreeing lack in disguise. Every murmur of dissatisfaction is a seed planted in the soil of the subconscious, and it will grow into a harvest of more to complain about. Gratitude, however, is the master key to multiplication. I have seen the poorest soul begin to prosper simply by giving thanks for what they had. Gratitude raises the vibration of your decree. It stamps it with authenticity. To say, I am abundant, while feeling bitter is like mailing a letter without postage. It will go nowhere. But to speak abundance with a heart of thanks is to send the letter with express delivery to the throne of heaven. You must also learn to release envy, for envy poisons your decree. To begrudge another's wealth is to slam the door on your own. What you bless will bless you, what you curse will move away from you. If you see another enjoying the very thing you desire, speak over them. I bless your prosperity, and I know mine is on the way. Such a decree not only frees you from jealousy, it affirms that supply is infinite. The law is never hindered by another's abundance. It is hindered only by your disbelief in your own. I remember a young man who could not hold money in his hands. Whenever it came, it slipped away through accidents, sudden bills, or bad investments. He told me he felt unworthy of wealth, for he had been raised to believe that money was dangerous and corrupting. I told him the danger was not in the money, but in his decree. He was unconsciously telling the law, I cannot be trusted with wealth. So the law obeyed. I gave him a new decree. I am a wise and faithful steward of God's wealth. Money flows to me, and I use it for good. He wrote it, spoke it, and meditated on it daily. Over time, not only did he keep the money he earned, but his income doubled because he had stopped commanding it to leave. The decree had changed the pattern. Understand this well: the law is not a respecter of persons, but it is a respecter of words. It takes your words at face value without analyzing your intent. If you say, I am broke, the law does not hear it as a joke, it hears it as a command. If you say, I can't afford it, the law takes it as truth and ensures that you cannot. This is why idle words are dangerous. Every phrase is a seed, and every seed bears fruit after its kind. Speak lack and reap lack. Speak plenty and reap plenty. It is not magic, it is the mathematics of spirit. Some resist this teaching because it places responsibility on their own tongue. It is easier to blame the economy, fate, or other people. But the moment you take responsibility, you take power. When you realize that the key has been in your mouth all along, You will guard your speech as you would a treasure chest. You will no longer carelessly scatter words of fear, for you will know they are not harmless. They are blueprints for your future. Here is the great joy of it. Once you begin to decree abundance with conviction, life becomes lighter. You are no longer pushing against the current. You are flowing with it. The constant strain of making ends meet gives way to the ease of divine timing. Opportunities will arrive without your chasing them. Money will appear from sources you did not foresee. People will extend help without your asking. And you will stand in awe, realizing it is not that these things were absent before. They were waiting for you to open the gate. Therefore, I say unto you, decree with boldness. Do not water down your words to suit the timid or the skeptical. Speak as one who knows their inheritance. Let your lips agree with heaven's verdict, that you are already supplied, already blessed, already in possession of the good you desire. Hold that decree until the outer world has no choice but to mirror it. For the law cannot resist a steadfast word, it must fulfill it. And when your blessing comes, as surely it will, give thanks and keep speaking, for the decree that brought you here will carry you further still. The sixth keynote stands as a spiritual pillar, the law of non-resistance. Florence Scovel Shinn often taught that resistance is the great block to the inflow of good. What you resist persists. For resistance is a form of attention, and attention is the channel through which power flows. When you fight against lack, you feed it. When you strive against sickness, you magnify it. When you argue with failure, you strengthen it. The secret is to turn your gaze away from the appearance and hold firmly to the truth of divine supply, health, and success. This law is not passive resignation. It is active faith. It is the quiet yet mighty stance of the soul that refuses to be impressed by the illusion of lack or loss. It is a refusal to pour the precious oil of your thought into the mold of the undesirable. In Scripture, we read, "Resist not evil." Matthew 5:3-9, not because evil has power, but because your attention is the lifeblood it needs to grow. The moment you stop feeding it with fear, doubt, and complaint, it starves. The non-resistant soul is like a clear channel through which the river of life flows unhindered, bringing supply, opportunity, and restoration. This principle is often misunderstood because the human mind is trained to push, to force, to control. The world teaches that if you want something, you must fight for it. If you face trouble, you must wrestle it to the ground. Yet in the higher law, the exact opposite is true. The spiritual warrior does not engage the enemy on its own battlefield. Instead, he rises above, speaking words of truth from the mountaintop. If bills arrive, he does not speak of debt. He declares, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." So Psalm 23:d. When, if the body aches, he does not rehearse the pain, he affirms, "I am the Lord that healeth thee." Exodus 15:26. By refusing to mentally wrestle with the problem, he starves it of its very breath. The unseen realm responds, reshaping circumstances according to the dominant vibration of faith, not fear. Imagine two farmers. One spends all day pulling weeds, cursing the ground, speaking only of how hard it is to grow crops. The other spends his hours sowing good seed, watering it, and blessing his field with words of abundance. Which one will reap a greater harvest? So it is in life. Your mental energy is the seed, your speech is the watering, and your faith is the sunlight. If you waste your days wrestling with weeds, your harvest will be sparse. But if you continually sow truth and refuse to engage the weeds at all, the good seed will overtake the field. The weeds wither not because you fought them, but because you gave them no place to grow. Let me tell you of a woman who lived by this law. She had worked for years in a company where she felt underpaid and overlooked. At first, she complained to friends, fought for recognition, and mentally rehearsed all the injustices she faced. Nothing changed. Then she came upon the teaching of non-resistance. She stopped speaking of the injustice. She blessed her employers in her prayers, affirmed daily, I am in the perfect place doing the perfect work, and I am divinely compensated, and refused to entertain thoughts of lack. Within 3 months, she was offered a new position, without even applying, at double her salary. The weeds of injustice died because she ceased to water them, and the seeds of abundance, once planted, had the space to grow. Another man faced crushing debt. Every day he counted the bills, calculated how impossible it was to pay them, and lay awake at night resisting the fear of ruin. He learned the principle of non-resistance and changed his words entirely. Whenever the fear rose, he spoke calmly, "God is my instant and unfailing supply. These bills are paid in divine order." He stopped engaging with the thought of debt and began giving thanks for abundance, as if it were already in his possession. Within 6 weeks, unexpected checks arrived, business deals closed, and the debt was cleared. By withdrawing the lifeblood of resistance, he made room for divine supply to flow in. Even in matters of health, this law holds. I recall a woman bedridden with chronic illness. She had read countless medical articles, told everyone her diagnosis, and fought daily against the condition in her mind. When she learned this law, she made a radical shift. She stopped speaking of illness, refused to read about it, and filled her conversation with words of health and life. The life of God flows through me, making me whole. Over time, her body responded to the new blueprint, and she regained her strength. The illness faded not because she conquered it with force, but because she withdrew her energy from it entirely. The essence of non-resistance is to replace reaction with creation. You cannot build a palace by rearranging the bricks of a ruin. You must lay new foundations. Every time you speak of lack, you lay another brick in the wall of limitation. Every time you affirm truth, you lay a stone in the temple of abundance. Non-resistance is not denial. It is a conscious choice to dwell in the reality you desire, regardless of appearances. It is the art of holding to the truth until the outer world reshapes itself to match the inner vision. In daily life, this means watching your words with vigilance. When the temptation to complain arises, bless instead. When the urge to argue with reality comes, affirm the higher truth. When fear tries to grip you, speak faith aloud. You are not ignoring the problem, you are feeding the solution. And as surely as day follows night, the outer must align with the inner decree. For as Job declared, "Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee, and the light shall shine upon thy ways." Job 22:28. The conclusion is simple but profound. Stop wrestling with shadows. They have no substance except what you give them. Turn your face toward the light of truth, and the shadows will fall behind you. Speak only what you desire to see, and refuse to water the weeds of fear, lack, and limitation. Life bends to the voice that speaks from the place of faith, not force. The law of non-resistance is the key to living above the storm, walking in abundance, and receiving every good thing prepared for you from the foundation of the world. You need not fight for your blessing. It is already yours. Simply align, speak truth, and let it flow. The 7th keynote is the law of perfect timing, often expressed in Florence Scovel Shinn's teaching as the truth that nothing comes too soon or too late, but always at the divinely appointed moment. Many of life's disappointments come not from a lack of good, but from the human tendency to rush ahead of divine order or lag behind it. We live in a world obsessed with speed, deadlines, instant results, and immediate gratification. Yet the spiritual life moves to a higher rhythm. Divine timing is not slow, it is exact. It delivers precisely when the soil of your mind is ready for the seed to sprout. If blessings seem delayed, it is not because the universe has forgotten you, but because the conditions for their perfect manifestation are still unfolding. This truth, when embraced, dissolves anxiety and replaces it with calm expectancy. It shifts your mindset from, "I must make it happen," to, "It is unfolding now in the perfect way." Florence often compared divine timing to the seasons. A farmer does not plant a seed and demand a harvest the next day. He knows that after planting, there must be a period of germination, watering, and waiting. The impatient man may dig up the seed to see if it is growing, but in doing so he destroys the process. In the same way, when we anxiously interfere with our own manifestations, constantly checking for results, doubting, or trying to force the outcome, we delay or even block the blessing. The wise soul plants the seed of desire through word and faith, tends it with gratitude, and rests in the assurance that it will bloom at exactly the right moment. One woman Florence counseled had prayed for a perfect home. She was offered several houses that were almost right but not quite. Friends told her she was foolish for turning them down, but she held to her vision. She affirmed daily, "I have the perfect home, and it comes to me now in the perfect way." Months passed, and then, seemingly by chance, she met someone who offered her the exact house she had pictured, location, design, and price all ideal. The previous owners had only just decided to sell, meaning it could not have been available earlier. This is the law of perfect timing at work. Had she settled for the earlier offers, she would have missed the blessing prepared for her. This law does not mean we sit idly by and wait for miracles to drop into our lap. Divine timing is a partnership. You act when prompted, you prepare in faith, but you refuse to push ahead in fear. If the door is closed, you trust it is not your door yet, and if it swings wide open, you walk through with courage. The human mind often mistakes delay for denial, but the soul that understands this law sees every apparent pause as preparation. The delay may be arranging people, resources, or circumstances in ways unseen to you. What looks like stagnation may be the exact alignment needed for your highest good. Consider the story of a man seeking work. He was desperate, applying to dozens of positions without success. Finally, he learned this principle and stopped scattering his energy. He affirmed, "The perfect position is seeking me as I seek it. We meet now by divine appointment." A week later, a friend he had not spoken to in years called with a job offer that fit him exactly. That role had not even existed when he began his search. It was created because the company's circumstances had shifted. Had he forced his way into any earlier role, he would have missed the one tailored for him. The beauty of perfect timing is that it spares you from premature burdens. Sometimes we think we are ready for a blessing when we are not yet prepared to carry it well. A large sum of money given too soon can be squandered. A relationship begun too early can crumble under unhealed patterns. An opportunity grasped before its season can overwhelm. Divine order ensures that what comes to you will come when you are ready to keep it and flourish with it. Florence often said, "Infinite Spirit knows the way of bringing it to me, and I shall not miss it." Trusting this truth frees you from the exhausting chase for results. There is also protection in divine timing. Many have stories of missing a train or flight, only to later discover that the delay spared them from danger. A closed door is often a shield as much as a redirection. The human mind resents these pauses, but hindsight often reveals their perfection. When you live by this law, you bless the delays as much as the breakthroughs, knowing that both are parts of the same unfolding. The practice of this principle is simple, but requires discipline. First, you set your intention clearly and affirm it with faith. Second, you act on inspired guidance without hesitation. Third, you release the need to control the pace, choosing instead to dwell in gratitude as if it were already complete. This, already done, attitude accelerates the alignment, because it removes the vibration of lack from your consciousness. Worry says, "It is not here yet." Gratitude says, "It is here now in the unseen, and I rejoice in it." The universe responds to gratitude like rich soil to rain. It hastens the growth. If impatience rises, remember the farmer's field. Just because you cannot yet see the seed breaking through the soil does not mean nothing is happening. Beneath the surface, roots are forming. strength is building, and soon the visible evidence will come. This hidden work is as vital as the harvest itself. The caterpillar does not rush the cocoon, it rests in its transformation until the appointed time to fly. So too, your dreams are unfolding in ways you cannot yet measure. The conclusion is that the law of perfect timing is not about waiting passively, it is about aligning completely. It teaches you to move when led, rest when told, and trust always. The anxious heart demands proof now. The faithful heart knows that the proof is inevitable. Every desire of the heart planted in the soil of faith and watered with gratitude will appear in its season. The delay is never denial. It is the polishing of both the gift and the receiver so that when the two meet, they fit with beauty and permanence. When you live in harmony with this law, you stop chasing, you start receiving, and life unfolds like a well-timed symphony, each note arriving in its perfect place.